I'm trying to see if we can get all this stuff up and running. Looks like it's running. Shouldn't have any issues, but you know, this is our Sunday workshop. We will continue as always, you know, continue to try to assist veterans as best we can. Last night we had our little gaming session. Sound should be good on each location. We had a little gaming session last night, and that's what we were working on. Basically just to start the little community vibe of, you know, gaming and stuff like that, so we can coordinate having multiple veterans just join in, or having like servers where we can play certain games or something like that, so we can just I guess the best way is joining up together, and doing that as the best way of putting it. But that'll be something that we will do, gift raffles, stuff like that, stuff to and little like fundraising events also that'll help with the project. Today we're just going to be covering, what we're going to be covering today is basically we're going to go over the top 10 most common VA diagnostic codes. So what we'll do is what we're going to do is we are going to go through the CFR. So we are going to go through website is ecfr.gov. Once you get to ecfr.gov, you will see the Code of Federal Regulations. Once you get to the Code of Federal Regulations, that is the website basically. So what you will start with is you will go to ecfr.gov. Once you reach ecfr.gov, you will insert yourself into that, and you will you get to the page basically that it opens up on any browser. You can check it out, and then you go through there. From there, we will go to Title 38, which is pensions, bonuses, and veterans relief. So you'll just scroll down, and it'll give you, it says changes, latest changes, July 31st, 2025. You can go to view changes. Let me see how I can do this. So I have to switch the screen here. So I will do this, which will show it. And I think TikTok may not have it, but let's switch it to main share. Vertical main share. For some reason, it doesn't. It cuts it off for some reason on TikTok. That's why I don't like fucking with TikTok so much. But we'll just leave it as that. We'll just leave it as a regular picture, so that way you can at least see me, or at least try to follow along with it. Best I can do right now for TikTok, I guess I could say, because TikTok is always on some finicky shit when it comes to loading up the page, keeping the page, and allowing you to view it. So that is always a issue to deal with. So when we are at the Code of Federal Regulations, when you go that, we go back and it'll give you a breakdown of what has been updated. So this is one of the most crucial things when it comes to dealing with the VA and dealing with the Code of Federal Regulations, is that the Code of Federal Regulations is always being updated. And that's one thing that people need to ensure that they are paying attention to. It's always being updated. Now, there's no mass message basically like, hey, go check this out. Oh, this is happening. Whatever the case may be, that does not happen. So just to get that clarification, that does not happen when it comes to any updates to the CFR. And that's not only talking about the bonuses, Title 38. That is for any part of the CFR. In order for you to be able to obtain that information and learn, oh, this is the new change, this was updated, this is what's in the works, you would have to go to the ECFR, which is the .gov site, and check that title. So when it comes to veterans issues at all, any changes, most of the time they will notify you. They will give you that heads up like, hey, we are about to do this, like the incoming changes with mental health and sleep apnea, tinnitus. All those things are supposed to be updated on the ecfr.gov site. So basically, when you go into it, it's going to be updated in that manner. So if you ever are curious, or there might be changes, or you heard of something Veterans Association said this, or the Department of Veterans Affairs stated, oh, you have this, or we are implementing this, or this change is happening. The ECFR is one of the better places doing it because these are the federal regulations that covers our veterans healthcare, our veterans disability claims, and our compensation, basically. So this is where you want to make sure that you are checking, because this is what is going to provide the answer, because it'll always give you a whenever you load up the page, it'll give you the information and it'll say, do this. This has been changed, or there has been a change recently in this title or in the CFR. And then it'll tell you, hey, do you want to go and revise it? When you click on that, it usually gives you a bigger issue. So the best thing I always say is once you get to the website, the CFR, go to it, go to Title 38, you can click on it. And once you click on it, it gives you there have been changes in the last 2 weeks to Title 38, view change. And then it'll tell you. So the changes, veteran readiness and employment and education. So that is a change that has recently happened, and that happened on the 31st. So let's see what changed. So basically this will give you a breakdown, and it's a lengthy part, but it gives you a breakdown of veteran readiness and employment education. So part 21, we usually deal with part 4, which is the disability rating. Part 21 is the breakdown of the VRE program. So it gives you more in-depth information as to what to find. When you look at this, you're going to have to go through it and then view what changed. Comparing the current version to what was previously in effect 730, changes are highlighted in the text below. So basically any changes that you notice that have been made will be highlighted. The problem is, so I just saw some. So these are like the little changes that are done. So these are the things that people need to pay attention to when it comes to these CFR changes, because it'll be this whole regulation and it could just be 2 little things that could change. In this case, it's like the chapters that are being used as reference for the program might have been updated in another regulation in the USC chapters. So now it's going to be updated here in the Title 38. So that's why it's changes like 107, 1607, like just moving it up one, because they might have added the thing. The same way it works with the diagnostic codes. You know that there is starts at like 5,000 and goes all the way almost to like 9,000 something. But there are numbers that are missing. Some numbers are joined together, which are part of a whole entire group. When it comes to like knee problems, back problems, it's usually strung out to the same platform. But then there's other instances where it's a small little disability code where may not be. What's up, Cam? I was just like, so it's not going to put everything in there, but it'll say, so this is something that was just added. So this is like B. So it got changed and it just says this is it, but it just changed what the regulation was that it was going for, trying to have people, explain it. As you go into it, then you see that there is a limit of aggregate assistance. The aggregate period for which any person may receive assistance under 38 U.S.C. Chapter 35 in combination with any of the provisions of law referred in paragraph A of this section may not exceed 81 months or the part-time equivalent thereof. So this is just like a little breakdown, a little subsection of the VRE program. So limit on training under 2 or more programs. The aggregate period for which any person may receive assistance under 2 or more of the following laws may not exceed 48 months. So that is basically trying to explain to you and let you know that, hey, you can use the VRE program, but chances are you will only get 48 months and you won't be able to get past those 48 months. So that's something you got to make sure you're incorporating with and looking into so that you see that, because that's one of those things, and that's just one part there. So that's just making sure that it is outlined that not exceeding 81 months. So it's there. And as you keep going down, you don't see no more green or red. So literally they might have just added that change, because that's the only green and red I saw that was highlighted. That's it. That was the only thing that was changed. Because you got to remember also the changes that were made were for veterans benefits when it comes to education services, that you are now receiving an extra year if you ever re-enlisted while you were in service. So let's say you did that one contract and you signed up for that second one, that opens you up for that initial or the additional year that you are getting when it comes to school benefits. So a lot of people haven't heard about that because it wasn't something that was it wasn't announced all over the, like I said, most of the time these things are not announced. They are not how can you put it? There's no notification for it. And that's something I think that needs to be worked on through the veteran stuff. Even if it's something that, yes, I know a lot of veterans ain't gonna want to have the extra mail or the extra notification or here, have this. Veterans, take this. Oh, you got this shit in the mail. Oh, we just dumping it. Yeah, I understand that. But it should at least be given a format that you should be able to sign up for something. In all these websites, all these government websites, there should be a subscription service of some sort, of just like, hey, I'm subscribed to va.gov. Any changes in va.gov, I would like to be notified of. Whether it's the CFR changed, was it something like any changes, because the thing is it's not being covered enough in the news. In the news, you'll hear it, it'll come out, you'll hear it in the news for a bit, and then all of a sudden it disappears. And then after that, you don't really hear about veteran shit unless it's a new law that just got proposed or something new coming out. So that's why I say, like, these are the only changes, but as you saw, it was just a change of time period. Then you can go back and it just tells you, hey, this is the last change. But as you saw, there was more changes. What is it? Title 38. Let's see the changes, and then there you go. Because, like I said, that's chapter 1, but it goes from part 0 all the way to part 80. And within the CFR, it gives you a breakdown and explanation of different assistance methods or just different programs that are there. And a lot of the times, a lot of these programs are not, you never heard of them. Most of the time, I'm always finding something new when I'm researching and looking for something else. And it's just like, oh shit, I didn't know we had that. And it's always something good because there's always information, or there's always a program or a benefit or something that will always benefit whoever uses it. No matter what, the thing is nobody's using it because nobody knows about it. Most veterans don't know about the VRE and being able to have a secondary GI Bill in order to do that. So that's something that people need to realize and they need to pay attention to. So as we continue with that, that's just to make sure you understand how to update and look up changes so that you know if there's any changes in the process, you can view them, you can see them, and you take care of them in that manner. So we're going to go to Schedule of Ratings, which is part 4. No changes have been made. Remember, see, so it'll always say this at the top, but then it's always to go and check because, like I said, they are planning those changes to mental health and they are changing sleep apnea. Those changes haven't been notified. We haven't heard that yet. My cat is trying to kid in here. But yeah, so we haven't heard of it. We keep on hearing mention, we keep on hearing notifications of these upcoming changes. We just don't know what they are. They haven't fully announced them. They're still, I guess, working through the situation, but that's something we will do. So easy way of navigating the Code of Federal Regulations. Here you have it, enhanced details. You have the table of contents. You can break it down and it gives you a breakdown of what it is you need. This is my little guy. So he is here now. What's up, boy? So this is toothless. Want to say hi to the people? No, because he don't got much to say today. But those are the things. So when you're going through the CFR, these are the things that you're gonna check and you're gonna look into. All right, then. No, you are not gonna play with those cables. I'm sorry, not today, Bucko. But those are the things you have to look into. So when it comes into it has the breakdown of it, but there's always the easiest way to get to the disability ratings. There's the numerical index of the disability ratings and the alphabetical index. So depending on how you want to go about it, because depending on what you're searching for, depending on what you're going to claim, you need to know what it is. So this is a whole breakdown because it has the different sections, and the different sections are the musculoskeletal system. They are the organs of special sense, impairment of auditory acuity, infectious diseases, immune disorders, and nutritional deficiencies. There's the respiratory system, cardiovascular system, digestive system, urinary system, the gynecological conditions and disorders of the breast, the hematologic and lymphatic systems, the skin endocrine system, neurological conditions and convulsive disorders, and mental disorders, dental and oral conditions. Those are all the different sections. So you have a lot of stuff in there, and it goes from, and this is why I say this is the alphabetical one, which if you know what you're looking for, it's easy to go through that one. But if you're not looking through that, hey, where'd it go? You just sent me back twice. Oh, part 4. Where am I going? What am I doing? Part 4. Table of contents, and then you scroll all the way down. For those on the vertical YouTube, it's off to the side, so the screen is kind of like scrunched in, so I can't show the whole thing. I'm still trying to work on that. But it is on the left hand side. It will be like tiles, and it'll be let me see. I should be able. There we go. So it should be the tiles on the side, and you see at the top it's like table of contents, and you'll be able to fill it out that way. So you pick on that. And numerical index. So here, as you can see, top number is 5,000. Bottom number, we still going. When it's alphabetical. Bottom number comes out to 9,918. So you start at 5,000 and then go all the way down. So now the important thing is how do I look these things up? And it's quite simple, because the thing is most of the time, veterans do not know what the diagnostic code is. So since they don't know what the diagnostic code is, it's kind of hard to know what you're doing. First of all, it's even harder when you don't actually have a proper diagnosis. So if you don't have a proper diagnosis showing what's going on or what's happening, you will run into that problem. So that's something you have to know. You have to know what's wrong with you. You have to be properly diagnosed. If you're misdiagnosed and you claim something and it's not in your paperwork, whole shitstorm happens after that. So those are things you got to pay attention to. But as we said, we were going to do the top 10 diagnostic codes. So to start, the number one is tinnitus. So when it comes to, okay, so this is let's backtrack a bit. So the easiest way to find your diagnostic codes, if you know what you're looking for, is use the alphabetical. If you have no idea, then you start using it by sections. And what I mean by that is like how I explained how there's the musculoskeletal, there's the mental disorders, there's all that stuff. You have to start breaking it down that way then. If you don't know what it is, you have to break it down by the section. So each section has it. There's the table of contents that will show you that. There's the mental disorders. You can go to mental disorders, but it'll give you a in-depth breakdown and it'll go into the topic. So in the case of, let's say, numerical index, we'll go back to the numerical index. So the top 10 list of the most claimed disabilities are tinnitus, the limitation of flexion of the knee, the sciatic nerve paralysis or sciatica issue. There's post-traumatic stress disorder, the lumbosacral or cervical strain, hearing loss, limitation of motion in arm, limitation of motion in ankle, migraines, and scars. So those are the top 10 most claimed disability codes, those or the disabilities. Those are the top 10. Tinnitus, it is DC 6260. So we can go here and do it the numerical and do it this way. We're gonna show it on both manners how to find it, because you can just scroll down. And I just know it's already 6260, so it's 6260. One thing that I would love for this to do is like they should have it that once you click on this, I should be able to just take me directly to that. That would definitely enhance this website to like the next level. So when you look for it through the diagnostic code, because maybe you know the number, but you don't know what it is, you could do it this way. So 6260, right? All right. Falls under the ear. Okay, so you found it here, tinnitus. 6260, right? This is going through the diagnostic code method. Now, if we go all the way and we do it alphabetical, then you have to search for the letter T. Fast, it went too fast. T. Oh, okay. Tinnitus. Tinnitus. Recurrent. 6260. Same thing. It's easier to find the alphabetical if you know what you're looking for. Second one. So let's go to 6260. And as we saw, that is part of the ear. So schedule a rating for the ear. Okay, so then it takes you to the schedule of rating. And this, I'll put the link in so that way if y'all want to follow along, y'all can. And that's the link there that basically provides that. So now you have that there. Now with this, you go 6260 because you know it's part of the ear because tinnitus is part of the ear. And you're like, whoa, did I skip it? No, you just missed it. Recurring. So then it gives you a breakdown. So this is the part where veterans need to pay attention the most to because this is the, I guess, the most influential part when it comes to veterans and the disability codes and their ratings. Here is going to be the breakdown. So any type you have these, what's up, JC? There's like anytime you have one of these breakdowns, anytime you have one of these disability codes, or diagnostic codes, or whatever, it could be something that your medical provider diagnosed you with. You're like, you know what? This isn't the VA provider. This is just my private provider. He diagnosed me with whatever the case may be. You know what? Let me go check the CFR to see if I have this. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. We have to check the CFR to see. Because then if you do have something like this, it's like, okay, is there a diagnostic code for it? There is a diagnostic code. Cool. Okay. Is this something that was caused by the military? Do I have record of it being caused by the military? Will this provider write in a nexus letter stating that these injuries that I have were caused because of my time in military? You see what I'm saying? Those are the things you have to put in there. But you need to know what you're doing. Tinnitus. A separate evaluation for tinnitus may be combined with an evaluation under diagnostic codes 6100, 6200, 6204. 6204 is peripheral vestibular disorders. 6200 is chronic suppurative otitis media mastoiditis or cholesteatoma. I don't know what the fuck those are. I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie to y'all. What the fuck that is. But that's the breakdown. But then it also shows you that evaluate hearing impairment and complications such as labyrinthitis, facial nerve paralysis, or bone loss of skull separately. So you have to see that it's saying like associated with this, but not necessarily it's going to be claimed by this or other diagnostic code, except when tinnitus supports an evaluation under one of those diagnostic codes. 2, assign only a single evaluation for recurrent tinnitus, whether the sound is perceived in one ear, both ears, or in the head. So it doesn't have to be that you have tinnitus and ringing on both sides. You can have it on one side or the other. That's explanation for that. Do not evaluate objective tinnitus, in which the sound is audible to other people and has a definable cause that may or may not be pathologic under this diagnostic code, but evaluate it as part of an underlying condition causing it. So an underlying condition causing it. So if you developed tinnitus, what was the underlying issue? What caused the tinnitus? Was it you were at the range? Was it you work around machinery? Are you a mechanic? Those instances, those are things that help you with your evaluation when it comes to tinnitus or hearing loss. Because if you're a mechanic and you worked with machinery and you have engines going, all that stuff, that gets kind of loud. That does have an effect on your ear. So hearing loss, when you claim it and you put it in there, they see it as like, oh, job-wise, he was a mechanic. I understand. And it's not as difficult. So sometimes they do take that into perspective, job-wise, what you did. Because those are like those presumptive conditions, you can say, kind of. So that is tinnitus. Tinnitus is 10%. Mind you, this is one of those things that may change within the next month. So that's something you need to pay attention to. There's something you need to evaluate and something you just need to pay attention to. 6260. Is it going to be deleted? Are the numbers going to be changed? Is it going to be more than 10%? Because from the understanding of what they've been proposing and stating is that it will be a part of something else. So the only way you have tinnitus is because you have an underlying issue or another cause that caused it. Which is going to be still interesting to it's going to be interesting to incorporate the situation because of the fact that you can't test for tinnitus. So how is it that it's going to be part of an underlying condition if you can't test for it? So that's why I've always found it interesting that they said that they were planning to make changes to it, but it's just like, make changes to something that you can't identify. See what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting. But it's also easier for you when you have the documentation. If you have documentation, let's say you did all the audiology while you were in service. What's up, Annette? It was like, let's say you did audiology when you were in service and you have on your record, you have it that was just like, hey, at one point you had severe like hearing loss for no apparent reason. But then you also started tinnitus off of that. That's your reason. So it's interesting because I don't know how to be a different thing because there's like Meniere's syndrome, which is basically this hearing impairment with attacks of vertigo and cerebral gait occurring more than once weekly with or without tinnitus. Hearing impairment with attacks of vertigo, and trust me, vertigo is no fucking fun. Vertigo is one of the most terrible things I've ever fucking experienced. So I'll say that. So that's what it is with tinnitus. That is the number one claimed disability for veterans as of 2024. That is still the highest. Second one is the limitation of flexion. So knee issues. Limitation of flexion, knee. So the diagnostic code for that is 5260. But again, we'll go to the table of contents, scroll all the way to the bottom, numerical index of disabilities, and you start at 5,000. So all you got to do is scroll down on 5260. 5260, leg limitation of flexion, and it falls under the knee and leg. Knee and leg. Limitation of flexion. So once you're doing that, it's like, okay, now I can go and proceed. I got the limitation, the leg flexion, so 5260, but it's also under knee and leg. So I can also go here, and since it is a musculoskeletal issue, it's knee and leg. So you may have to go here to the musculoskeletal system, and it'll give you a breakdown. It'll give you a breakdown of the joints. It'll give you an explanation of all the stuff you need there, and then it gets into the CFR after it breaks down everything, and then it shows you how they measure the stuff. So that's why it's important to do these and look at this up, because it shows you what you need to do. It explains to you how they evaluate you, so you have an understanding and a heads up, and not to think that you are being that you're not being taken care of. So that way, you know, when you go into that C&P exam, the compensation and pension exam, you understand that these are the things that they will be doing to you, or they should be doing to you, in order to determine your disability rate. So these are the measurements, and this is how they measure the shoulder flexion, abduction, rotation. They do that with the knee, ankle, elbow, shoulder, everything you got. They're going to be doing a C&P exam, but this is a breakdown, and this shows you what they're going to be checking. So you know, it's just like, oh, well, my hip abduction, I can't do that. I can barely go half of that. So at least I know I can go half of that, and that's as far as you're going to go. Other things, C&P exam. Whenever you get to the point where it starts hurting, stop. Don't continue. Don't push through. I feel pain. You stop. That's it. Don't ask no more. Don't say no more. You felt pain. That's where the issue started. That's it. Plain and simple. Most people have an issue where they don't do that. They'll just, tough it out and keep going through it and say, oh, well, I can't do it with my left, but doing this, I can't do this with my left. But if I do it slowly, I can go here and then bam, start feeling pain. Stop there. You don't need to muscle your way through and just be in pain and show wincing, because depending on the CMP examiner, some of them are going to be like, hey, bro, I don't need you to do all that. Because some of them will see your wincing and they will see your pain level and they'll be like, you know what, you don't need to do all that. And they will tell you, hey, when you feel that pain, just stop. I don't need you to push through it. Stop and understand that. Stop trying to be the tough guy at these evaluations. That's how you end up getting evaluated, and you don't get the evaluation you deserve because you wanted to be that tough guy. This is one of those places that you have to be vulnerable enough to show and tell that CMP examiner what is wrong with you. You have to be at that vulnerability to explain that, so that way they understand and they know. They understand what you're going through, because they don't know who you are. They don't know you're going through the pain, but if you keep on going through the pain and you act like you can deal with it, it's painful. Yes. Will you get a rating? Yes. Do you get the rating you deserve? No, because you weren't in that much pain. You were able to move. If you were able to move your whole arm and rotate and flexion and rotate it and do all this stuff, it was painful doing it, but you still did it. They see it as it hurts you, but it ain't hurting you that bad that it's not allowing you to continue to do what you need to. So you don't need compensation for that much if you're still able to use it. That's the way the VA operates. And that's why people need to learn to use the CFR, because those things are explained and understood better here. Same thing. Look, flexion. How can you move your neck? How can you move your back? How can you rotate your back? All important information. Here we go. We get to the knee and leg. So it says 5260, right? And so we go to 5260. And here's the breakdown of 5260. Leg limitation of flexion. And here are the ratings for it. So that this way you understand, even if you have limitation of flexion of your leg, you're not getting 100%. Understand that, people. Just because you don't have the full mobility, you're not getting 100%. Certain things can't give you 100%, but that's why you look at the CFR, so that explanation is there and you understand it. So that way it's not a surprise when they just decide, you know what? We giving you 0. I'm just like, extension limited to 5%. So that means I can move it all around, but I was doing it in pain. Well, your limit was 50, but you decided to keep going and pushing through. Or 60, 0. See, limited to 60, meaning you have full range when it comes to the flexion. Limited to 45, you get 10%. Limited to 30, you get 20%. Limited to 15%, you get 30%. So as you see, the more limited you are in movement, the higher the rating goes. And that's how it is for most of these, that the less you're able to move, the more they are going to change it so that they are compensating you more, because you know they know it affects you more. If you can barely move your legs, that means you're going to have issues walking. You're probably going to have back issues. You're going to have different issues that are going to add to the ailment. But then in some cases, some of those CMPs will add those other things. And in others, they'll just expect you to do it. Because you got to remember, the CMP examiner is there to evaluate you on what you said was wrong with you. You stated this. You made the claim. Your claim was tinnitus and limitation of flexion. You didn't say nothing about your back. You didn't say nothing about your knee. You didn't say nothing about your wrist, your fingers. What CFR is this? This is the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 38. Code of Federal Regulations, Title 38, Chapter 1, Part 4. I'll give you, put this in here. So that's the link to the CFR. Appreciate you tuning in from Thailand, Grip. So that is the Code of Federal Regulations, the CFR. So basically, when you're looking through that, you'll go through it and you'll look at it and it'll give you that explanation for it, so that you have it. And that's the easiest way of doing it. But this is the easiest way to know what you can get, because it's easier for veterans to sit down before they do this whole process of filing a disability claim, and at least having a general sense of what they may end up with. Because that's what I think made it easier for me on the way out when it came to planning. It was just like, I looked at the CFR and then I looked at the issues I had. I was like, well, I got this, I got that, I got this documented. I had all this stuff over the 10 years I had, so it was a lot easier to file my claims. It was just like, oh, you got sleep apnea. Yes, I did it in 2019 in Hawaii. Hawaii did the sleep study. They did the sleep study. I didn't get the machine there. I didn't get the machine till I got to Germany. And then in Germany, they issued it to me, and I've had it ever since. Stuff like that, you have it in the system, but it's not always like that. But those are things you use it, you see it there, it's there. Once it's there, you use it. But this is something that every veteran should know about, and not every veteran knows what the Code of Federal Regulation is. And this is like the holy grail of veterans, because this is the regulation. This is the regulation that covers all this stuff that you need to be successful as a veteran afterwards. It's not only just the Code of Regulations, but remember this. Let me see. Go to the top. These are all the different parts when it comes to veteran information. So what most people just resort to is the schedule for ratings. But you have the soldier and sailor civil relief. It talks about life insurance. It talks about counsel. It talks about just a ton of different stuff. Even the VRE program, that's there. VA homeless providers grant and per diem program. That's there. All those things is broken down there. So when you need information, it's like there's a regulation to everything. There's a regulation how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that. So this is the regulation for us as veterans. So this is what people need to know and see, because the information is there. Sometimes it may be in a different it may be on a different topic or a different location or something like that, but that's something you still have to look at, because the CFR is explaining all this to you. The CFR has all this there. So that's the regulation. You always want to pay attention to the regulation in case of any changes, because there's going to be changes throughout. Like I said, they don't announce it, so there will be changes that happen throughout the course of the year, but it'll just be an announcement made on the website if you know to check it. So that's why you always want to check it. So those were the top 2 disability claims, the diagnostic codes we covered. So we went over tinnitus, which is diagnostic code 6260. Tinnitus rating is 10%. That's the most you can get for tinnitus. Keep in mind, there may be upcoming changes. Keep that thought process there, and viewing and visual to make sure you can keep that there. Limitation of flexion, second. That is the second highest claim diagnostic code, which is diagnostic code 5260, and that ranges from 0 to 30%, and that's depending on if you go from 60%, 45%, 30%, 15% when it comes to your range of motion. When it comes to the third most claimed diagnostic code, yet again, we'll go back to the table of contents. Like I said, for people on TikTok, easier viewing is if you go on YouTube, because you can actually see everything there. Is there a certain way to write the claim? JC, what do you mean, like as a certain way to write the claim? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Because there's no particular way to write the claim, because the claim is just gonna be put in there, because you're gonna put that in because it's in the 526 EZ, the disability filing form. You can go through that and it gives you the explanation. This is where going to my website is handy. Hold on. So I'll show you that. Make sure if y'all haven't already, where'd it go? What the? Okay. We'll put this here, and this is the website. So you can go to resources, and you go to VA forms. From the resources and VA forms, form 21 easy. What happened to my? What the fuck is going on here? Where is my download link? Oh, I need to fix this page. My page is acting the fuck up. Like, why does it look like that? Okay, then. Well, do not go to the website. Well, you can go to the website anyway, but because if you're filing that disability claim, it shows you there. And this is just that's just the first page. For some reason, my download link is not populating, which is interesting to me. Okay, well, I'll go and I'll fix the website after this. But if you go onto the website, VA Form 21526EZ, application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits is there. There's no specific way on as to writing your claim because you're gonna file the claim the way you file the claim. There's no specific way towards that. It is more what you incorporate with the filing of the claim. So it depends on making sure you have evidence. Whether it's documentation. As I always say, whether it's imagery, X-rays, CAT scan, MRI, EKGs, whatever you have, you put that in there. But you still have to go through the CFR to know what you're claiming. So like in this case, you could throw a JC if you want, you could throw out something random, just a random ass issue that you have that you want to claim or you want to file it out, and we'll go through the thing and we'll just do it that way. So like as an example way of showing like, hey, this is what you have. This is how you would look it up kind of thing. Because these are the top 10. So I'm going over the top 10 things you can that are mostly claimed. But if you have any questions as to a specific one, throw them shits out. Don't hesitate to throw those questions out so that way I know is like, okay, this is going on. This is what's happening. All right, he feels this way about it, or no, this is what's going on with him or not. It's just like so you understand that. And I see the votes for the poll I made as to do you feel that the 2.5 expected COLA rate is what we should be getting? And I got a couple of people saying yes, a couple of people saying no. I don't know. I never think that's enough, but that's just me. My toes are fucked up. I got a hammer toe. Okay, so we would go. So let's say, so we go to schedule ratings, right? So you have toe issues. So that would be considered musculoskeletal system. So the bones, the joints, accurate measurement, all that stuff. So, okay. Let's see. Because it'll have a section that'll be, well, if you go to table of contents too, it does have, does it have the feet? Loss of use? No, let's go. Let's just go to schedule ratings. Because the thing is JC, then the thing is what is your diagnosis for that? So that is the most important thing when it comes to it. Because the thing is your toes are fucked up, right? You got messed up feet. So you got to make sure that you have a diagnosis for that. Whether you could be like, yo, I got arthritis in my feet. It's arthritis. And they go and look up arthritis. I know what you mean. Interesting. But that's how you look, because it just goes off of that. But you have to go into your section because it'll have it. There's a hold on. Let me start scrolling. I just don't want to scroll too fast because it could be arthritis in it. It can be bones. You can have like what is it that you have, and that's the most important part of it. You have to figure out what exactly it is you have to claim it. Because your toes are fucked up, but what is the diagnosis that they are giving you? Because if you don't have a diagnosis for it, it's hard to connect your situation to a diagnostic code. If you can't connect it to a diagnostic code, it makes it difficult to file because there's no diagnostic code for it. You see what I'm saying? So there has to be something that you are being diagnosed with. Yeah. You have to check and see what it is and what you're being diagnosed with. Because then that's when you go and you bring that back into this. Because if you got diagnosed with, let me see, because that's the thing. There's a bunch of stuff. Because this one is like amputations and stuff. Elbow form, it should be getting close to wrist. Where is it? You can develop ankylosis from that, from your feet being messed up too. Like, that's the spine. I think I might have passed it. The hip and thigh, knee and leg. It should be good. The ankle, shortening of the foot. Here we go. So they just gave me insoles and stuff. Got it. I need to check. Yeah, because the thing is for me, I ended up developing, I guess it was just like fucking like flat feet. So I got flat feet. So they gave me inserts in that. So I put inserts on top of that. So that's something that's how I got it. But it was just like, that wasn't even a claim. So this was something that was done for me after I had gotten my 100% PNT, and then they give me the insole. So if I wanted to claim it, I would be able to, because it's just like the VA gave it to me because they saw I had flat feet. So that's something to keep in mind when that happens. That's something that's just like, oh, okay. But here you got plantar fasciitis, flat foot. There you go. Severe objective evidence of marked deformity. Weight-bearing line over medial or great toe. Weak foot, claw foot, all toes tending to dorsiflexion limitation, metarsalgia anterior, Moore's disease, hallux valgus, which is if you have corns or bunions, and if they're, look, ain't that something? Well, how about that, JC? You said you had hammer toe, huh? What is your hammer toe, JC? There you have it, folks. Just got JC a new claim. Now JC can claim hammer foot or hammer toe. That's simple. That's simple, JC. That's the thing that is just like, is that simple to deal with the CFR to help veterans educate themselves better, to be able to either educate others or just to benefit themselves. Because right there, it was just like, look, the explanation. You weren't sure. Toes is messed up. You had hammer toe. And then what do? We just went into the CFR. Now you just got to make sure that you have that in your medical record. It might not be hammer toe that they have it in your medical record as, but you can get a diagnosis of it after the fact. And be like, hey, look, I got diagnosed with hammer toe by my provider. My provider is giving me a nexus letter because she is stating that I received this hammer toe from my time in service. She looked over my medical records, which showed that I had gone and seen the medical provider while in service because of my feet. So now when the provider looks at it now, it can just be like, oh, okay, well, you have it in your record for being seen about your feet. You now have a diagnosis from a provider stating that you have hammer toe. And now you also have a nexus letter from that provider stating that you got hammer toe from your time in the military, which she got that information from viewing your medical records. Now, if a nexus letter is written in that manner, ain't hell no way your shit gonna get denied. Well, I can't say that because it shit still happens, but the chances of you being denied at that point are the most minimal as possible, because you literally have the documentation of you going and being seen for the pain multiple times. You have a diagnosis of the pain. You have a diagnosis of hammer toe by an outside provider. You also have that same provider which notified and identified that issue because she looked at your medical records, which showed that you had already been seen for this, but you didn't get any relief or any medication or any treatment for it. Now he is treating you, or the diagnosis is from the VA. Oh yeah, then file the claim. But it's always best. That's the only doc I go. Okay. So it's always best to have that and see if he or she will write a nexus letter stating that. But make sure that before you ask that, make sure you go into your medical records and find those places. Find those instances of where you went and got seen because of the pain in your foot. Take that and separate it. Put it to the side. Because now you're going to use that as part of your claim. So you're going to have that information for you got hammerfoot or you got seen 8 9 different times for the same issue. Cool. Got that paperwork. Now you have a diagnosis from your VA doctor. Now when you file that claim, you can show is like, hey, I got this. Because sometimes that nexus letter will be what you need. That will be the best. That's the best bet, because then that provider is going to put that in there. But if you have your medical records showing that, then you have that supporting evidence that it was caused by the military and it has worsened over time, and that's why you're claiming it. So always go through it that way. But look, that's how simple it is. That it's just like you had a feeling you had something, you got diagnosed with something. There you go. Hammer toe. It is a diagnostic code 5282. And there it shows you. See, but this is where you got to look at it. Because the problem with it is it, do you have a hammer toe? All toes unilateral without clawfoot is 10%. If you have single toes, 0%. So if it's all of your feet, you get 10%. If it's just certain toes, you only get 0%. So that's where it's just like, that's where it becomes difficult for some veterans, because it's just like, I'm going to get 0% for this. Or I may just get 10%. And some veterans is just like, I don't want to go through the process of just getting 10%. The thing is at the end of the day, whether you claim it or not, 0, 10%, you use that, you get it, you file it. And it's like, hey, the best thing about this is if you are not at 100%, go for everything you can. If you're not at 100% yet. That's why when it comes to claims, the best thing to do is do the most in-depth thing when you file that first disability claim. Your first disability claim filing should be your longest, because that should have everything. Everything you're dealing with, everything you can find information for, everything you get or have gone through the process or found anything. Hey, no problem, JC. There's like, go through that process and understand those things. Because, see, look, you have hammer toe. I know that shit sucks. But then if you didn't know that there was a diagnostic code for it, right, and you filed for hammer toe, and then next thing you know, you in pain like crazy, and you get 10%, you're going to be pissed the fuck off. I'm sorry. But that's just straight up being truthful. You're going to be pissed the fuck off if you have an ailment that has been bothering you for so long, and then they just hit you with yeah, you're going 10%. What the fuck? You're going to lose your shit. But that's something to understand. Because see, now, JC, you go with the thought process of, you know what? Max I can get is 10% for this. Now you at least know max I can get is 10% for this. And not go into the situation thinking, you know what, I'm going to file for hammer toe and I'm going to get 100% because my feet is terrible. Those are the instances right there where it's just like, all right, oh, okay, I didn't see that. I didn't recognize that. I didn't notice that this was the issue. And those are the things, that's where you need to process and learn that, because then it's just like, oh, okay, I did this for this reason. But I'm only getting 10%. At least I know I got 10% instead of it just being, I also have flat feet. Oh, bruh, whew. What do we see? Flat feet, boom. Is it bilateral or unilateral? 50 to 30%. A severe objective evidence of marked deformity. Bilateral or unilateral? This is the whole breakdown. So for flat feet, it's 5276. For plantar fasciitis, 5269. And then it gives you a breakdown of what it is. So from here, you can see from plantar fasciitis, the most you can get is 30. The most you can get from flat foot, 50 if it falls under this objective. If it's this one, most you can get is 30. If it's mild symptoms wrote about built-up shoe or arch support, 0. So it gives you a breakdown. And then with your hammer toe, if you have it all on your feet, that's 10. So you from here can come out with 30, 50, and 10. So 30%, then add and then the best thing about this is like you can go up to the top and you can calculate it as you doing this. And that's the good thing about this. You can calculate what your percentage is going to be. Because like we just saw, you could get a 50, a 30, and a 10, right? Remember, VA math, and I also have that video that's out. VA math is not 1 + 1 = 2. It's a percentage of a percentage. You are a pizza pie, and you are just taking out pieces of the pie of you being whole. You're whole right now. That 50% that you got off of plantar fasciitis or foot issues got you to 50. So what do? You go to 50. So we have 50%, right? Because you always start from the highest disability rating to the lowest. Then you go to that 30%. So you added 30%. That got you to 65%. So you're going to go and scroll down back to 65. Remember, when you're at the 65% mark, you are getting paid at the 70, though. Remember that. But remember, with 65%, you had that extra 10% for the hammer toe, right? So from 65, you get that 10%, you go to 69. So now you are sitting at 69, but you are getting paid at the 70% rate. Keep that in mind. Because in order for you now, you're getting paid at the 70 rate. In order for you to get to that 80 rate, you have to get to 75, which would mean you would need another 20% from 69. You would need another 20% to get to 75, which would then pay you at 80. But now you at least know, hey, if I'm sitting at 69%, I at least know I'm sitting at 69% and not thinking I'm all the way up at like 89 or 90 because I did 50, 30, and 10. Because that's a big difference from 90% to just 69%. Because in order for you to get 100%, you still need another 90%. So those are the things you have to pay attention to when it comes to that. But this is the best way of explaining to yourself and learning, like, oh, okay, got this, I got that, I found this is the percentage I can get, and you go from there. Well, those are the easiest ways of doing it. We will be doing this last one. We'll do the sciatica, which is the third most, and then from there we will be calling it a day. We won't be doing, like I said, we won't be doing these workshops we'll still be doing them every Sunday. Every Sunday, 12 noon. That is going to be without fail. We will be doing these workshops. I know football season is going to start. So I know most people, when it comes to 1 o'clock or pregame or whatever the case may be, a tailgating, they're not going to do that. So we will still do these, but they will be minimal because I want to watch football too and spend time with the family. So that will happen. So we will try to keep these to an hour, hour and a half. We're not gonna, unless it goes longer, because there's tons of conversation and tons of questions, and we will keep on answering. The questions we will continue to answer with no problem. But when it comes to the work stuff and all that stuff, we will try to keep it as minimal as possible to not extend these too long. And let's see. So sciatica nerve paralysis, sciatica is DC code 8520. So like I said, we can go to the table of contents and we can go to the bottom and go to alphabetical index of disabilities, which is sciatica nerve. So that means we got to go to the letter S. Then we got to find sciatica. You see all these, and I was just like, looks like it skipped it. But SC, where's SCI? Am I missing something? Because it should be here. Why isn't it not here? Now that I'm looking at it, I was just like sciatica nerve paralysis, DC 8520. I was like, I know. One second, I know my alphabet ain't great, but. Okay, then. So then we will not look for it in alphabetical. We'll go numerical. 8520. Shit, that's it again. 8520. Sciatica nerve paralysis. What does that fall under? Because that would fall under your back. So contents. We'll go to musculoskeletal. Should probably be towards the end because it's sciatica. So if it's here, I don't know, we're going down the list anyway. Or you can just go down the list like most people would probably do. Okay, so maybe it is not 8520 because it doesn't show up here. Interesting. We just found the thing that I don't know what the fuck it is. Even though it says it's the highest claimed. Top. Why the fuck? Am I spelling that shit wrong? Oh, yeah, I did. 6 results matching pelvis bones. Painful motion. It shows up though. Appendix B to part 4, 8520. 85. We're going to do this again because I know it's not. Yeah, so it shows up here when it's numerical as 8520. Thank you, Annette, for the public one and SI joints. But when you look at it, interesting. That's just weird. It falls under pelvic bone, so that would be musculoskeletal. Pelvic bones. What does it say? The variability of residuals following these fractures necessary. Because that's what I'm saying. Through all of this, I've gone down the list, and it's just like I'm looking for 8520. Oh, just had it. 8520. Sciatic nerve. Paralysis of complete. The foot dangles and drops. No active movement possible of muscles below the knee. Flexion of knee weakened. 80%. Severe remarked muscular atrophy. 60. Moderately severe. 40. Moderate. 20. Mild. 10. So if you have sciatic nerve or issues with your shit, everybody deals with that at any point in the military. It's just knowing that you are being diagnosed with it and knowing that that's what you got. But that's what we did. So we did the top 3 basically today, just covering the diagnostic codes, covering how the diagnosis falls into the Code of Federal Regulations, which will then explain to you what percentage you may receive or what percentage you may get off of your disability claims. Now, keep in mind that a lot of these disability claims are put in place in the CFR. You have to find them. As you saw, we had an issue trying to find it when it came to the actual numerical value and stuff like that. It's in there. If you don't find it that way, like I said, you have to do the legwork and do the work to find what the issue are. Because if it's sciatica, it's a nerve issue. Yes, and that is very true, and that's something for everyone to understand. 10% is 10%. May not seem like much, but 10% adds up. Especially when you already have the stuff. And that's why it's important. File everything you have. Right now, it may not be too bad. Right now, you may not have severe issues with it, but you're going to get older. You're not going to be as nimble. You're not going to be stretching as much. You're not going to be working as hard. You're not going to be lifting as much, but your body's still going to feel it. So if you have the ability to put those things on there, and you have the ability to claim these things, go ahead and do so. Don't stop yourself from doing it. Go ahead and claim these things. Let me move the rating numbers. If I'm at 90, what do I need for 100? So JC, this is the thing. Okay. Let's go back to the top. So, like you were saying that you're at 90%. So you are getting paid. Yes, Annette, that is true. They are trying to change that, Annette. So that's why the two or more, if you get 2 zeros or more, you will get a 10% rating. But I'm not gonna say this is what's out there. It is rumors, it has been spoken about that they are trying to remove that if you have either 10 or 20% ratings that you don't get paid. Rumors. Don't take it as that's what's going to happen or not going to happen. Something that's been spoken about. It's been heard that they're trying to eliminate it so that if you have 10 and 20% disability, you are not going to get paid for it. So basically, you will only start getting paid if you have over 30%. There's a lot of talk about that stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to say it's for sure, but just keep that in mind. When you're at 90%, right? What you need to do, JC, is you need to sit down and take all your disability claims, all your ratings, and go through this and find out exactly what your disability rating is. Because you're at 90%. You're getting paid at the 90%. That means, because I don't know exactly what number you are. That means that you can be sitting between 85 and 94. So you are getting paid at the 90% rate, but you can be at 85% getting paid at 90. So you need to make sure that you know what you are sitting at specifically. So is it 92%? Is it 85%? You need to know specifically what that is, because that is how you help yourself get to that 100 if you are going to start claiming more. Because you need to know exactly where you sit at. So let's say, JC, you're sitting at 90. In order to get to 95, you need another 50%. If you're at 85, you basically need another 70%. So it's determined mostly on where you sit on with your disability rating. You have to ensure that you know specifically what number you sit at. So if it's 85 or is it 94, is it that you just need 10% to get to 100? Or is it that you need 70% to get to 100? So that's a big difference. So that's why you just got to make sure, JC, you know exactly what your rate is. And that's for every veteran. If you know any veteran, they say, oh, I get paid at 90%. Yes, you may be getting paid at the 90% mark, but you may be at an 85 rate. You just may be at 85%. You're getting paid at 90, but you're only at 85% because they rounded up. Remember, once you hit that 5, they round up. So you could only be at 85 and still be paid at 90. And you can still be at 94% and still get paid at 90. But that's a big 9-point percentage and a whole bunch of percentage points that you're going to need in order to cover whatever it is you need. So if you're at 94, he's a good show. It was just like, if you at 94% and you got that hammer toe on all your feet and you get that 10%, boom. Or you got that punch your fasciitis, 50%, boom. You see what I'm saying? Those little instances and those little additions can get you over the top. But now you know to look at the CFR, and now you know to look into it, and now you know where to find it. So anything that you meet, anything that you're diagnosed with, especially through the VA, go to the diagnostic code and look for it. And then from there, start asking that providers is like, hey, am I able to get a nexus letter or something like that? Because I would like to file a claim for this that you have also diagnosed me with. But yeah, those are the best. That's the best outcome for it. But y'all gotta make sure y'all know what percentage y'all at. Yeah, and that's the thing. Until you don't sit down. So what you need to do, JC, is you're gonna sit down. You're gonna take all your disability ratings and you're gonna put them in order from highest to lowest, whatever it is. And then you're gonna go. You can go through here, or you can go through any other, like, there's a bunch of like websites. I know like the DAV has a calculator, certain place. I'm working on making a calculator, but that shit it's a lot to do. But there you have it. But yeah, so you have that. But you take your ratings, take your whole ratings and put them in order, and then go through the numbers and calculate what percentage you're actually at. Because like you said, you're at 90%, but what percent are you actually at? Yes, the VA provider. Because since you said that's the person you go to see, that's who you want to get a letter from, if possible. That's the best thing. But yeah, that's something you need to clarify for yourself. Is I'm getting paid at 90. Thank you, Gina. I'm also on YouTube, Gina. I don't know if you're on YouTube, but that's where I get a lot of the traction I get from these lives is more on YouTube than it is TikTok, because this is still a small account. I get more traffic when I use my main account, because they just like me talking politics more. So they push that one out more. This is still a smaller account, so might not be as big. So a lot of people view it on YouTube, or that way you can see and visualize the videos and all the stuff I'm putting out there. Oh damn, I don't have the thirds here don't show up. That's what it is. Cause I have, see, like my name. These are my on TikTok. You can see that I have Just Cruise On as my YouTube and TikTok, and that's my original one. And then I have the Veteran Awareness Project one, which is this one, which we're streaming on now. Yeah. Stuck on 70 for PTSD already, 100% PNT. Trying to do an increase for SMC steps. Provider won't write a DBQ. So, McNasty, in your case, the thing is you are at 70% PTSD and you are already at 100%. So you're trying to go for the SMC steps. Now, the thing is what exactly are you trying to incorporate, and what SMC are you going for? Because that's the biggest thing. It's just like SMC, there's literally levels to it. Well, steps to it, but I just call it levels because that's what it is. I forget what the form was. It was just like the form that they have to write the letter for you. But in those instances, SMC, give me a second. Because the SMC shit is, you need the documentation for some. It depends on what SMC level you're going for. Because some SMC levels, you need a specific thing. It could be loss of limb or something like that. When it comes to PTSD and stuff like that, it could be TBI. Did you get a TBI? Because you can go through SMC for TBI, which I believe is R2 or T. No, it's T. For TBI instances of that. Let me see. Shit, what was I gonna look for? SMC. I don't know if this has been updated. Yeah, because this literally depends on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It depends on what it is that you are trying to file for when it comes to that. Because it would have to be so L is permanently bedridden, blindness, loss of use, or aid in attendance. Same thing with M, but just with a different addition to it. Anatomical loss of use is N. Anatomical loss or loss of use of multiple extremities or multiple other SMC ratings is O. Anatomical loss or loss of use of multiple extremities, P. In need of advanced levels of aid of attendance, R. And permanently housebound or paid at housebound rate is S. So it all depends. Dr. already wrote aid in attendance form. VA denied because I'm not 100% in one disability SMC. Yeah, that's a special monthly compensation. So basically, special monthly compensation is that you will get paid. So basically, that is you are at 100% disability, but you are getting paid at a higher rate to compensate the other issues that you are dealing with. So that's there. But that's the thing, McNasty. You have to have 100% in a disability. So the thing is the only way is do you fall? See, now there's two things I can advise here. There's two things I advise. It's you have to either file for an increase, meaning that you have to show and that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, you're 100% P and T. That's what I'm going. So I'm trying to understand. So you have PTSD at 70%, but you're 100% P and T from everything else. For certain SMCs, it's that you need an 100% rating. I believe it's, I can't remember because these always get confusing. But I know it's that you have to have one disability that is at 100% for specific ones. Because the thing is if you're trying to get 8 in attendance or something like that, 8 in attendance, you have to show that you need 8 in attendance. You can't get 8 in attendance just because you're saying. You have to show that you need 8 in attendance. You have to show that either your spouse is taking care of you and doing this stuff, or you need assistance in that stuff. You have to provide that stuff. If you're trying to file for an increase, McNasty, you have to make sure that you go. Here we go. This is another explanation of using a CFR. This is how I'm going to break it down. So go to table of contents. You can scroll down to mental health ratings, right? Mental disorders. All right. So you're going to go to the mental disorders. In the mental disorders, it is going to give you, these are the listing of all the things you can claim. You already have PTSD at 70%. You're trying to get an increase. What that would mean for you, McNasty, is that you would have to have total occupational and social impairment due to such symptoms as gross impairment in thought process or communication, persistent delusions or hallucinations, grossly inappropriate behavior, persistent danger of hurting self or others, intermittent inability to perform activities of daily living, including maintenance of minimal personal hygiene, disorientation to time or place, memory loss of names, all that stuff. See, but that's the thing. The thing is for certain ones. So you're trying to get 8 in attendance, but to get 8 in attendance, you have to have one of those disabilities that is at 100%. Because, okay, these are the questions I have. Because for which SMC are you applying for? Because that's the thing. Each SMC is different. That's the thing you got to understand. Depending, you're aiming for 8 in attendance. She filled out the form, but do you, just because they filled out the form, do you have somebody doing the 8 in attendance? Because this is what I'm looking at right now. This is what I'm looking at right now. Special monthly compensation levels, right? This is according SMCL. And here we go. To qualifying veterans with especially serious disabilities or combinations of disabilities. Certain disabilities and combinations of disabilities are more, we know that already. So SMCL1 has anatomical loss or loss of use of both feet or one hand or foot. 2 has blindness in both eyes with visual acuity of 8 in attendance, which is what you go for. The veteran's condition is serious enough that they require the regular help of another person, not necessarily every day or every time. Due to inability of claimant to dress or undress himself, to keep himself or ordinarily clean and presentable, due to a frequent need of adjustment of any special prosthetic or orthopedic appliances, which by reason of the particular disability cannot be done without aid. Due to inability of claimant to feed himself through loss of coordination, due to inability to attend to the wants of nature, due to the incapacity, physical and mental, which requires care assistance on a regular basis to protect claimant. Do you fall under these things? It's important to note that being hospitalized for your condition doesn't qualify under the term 8 in attendance. No extraschedular SMC L3 for 8 in attendance may be awarded if the veteran does not have a single disability evaluated as 100% regardless of the combination, and the disability is so severe as to demonstrate the need for aid and attendance. So that's the part there. Veteran does not have, so you can go for the extra scheduler, but the thing is when it comes to anything that's scheduler, that means it's a time process. It's a time period. So that's where like, and it tells you here also, it's like, no, if you have a claim that is not yet 1 year old, SMCL is an inferred claim. So basically they should have done that. What's up, Jordan? I was like, they should have done that. They should have put that in your file. If they would have seen that you were at the level of SMCL and aid in attendance, they would have put that into your file while you were doing it. So the thing is you don't have that 100% in a specific disability. But then the thing is they wrote the letter, but you also have to provide and showing the thing, because it goes through a whole process also. They're still going to go and examine it, still going to go and check, because they have to see, it was like, oh, you have prosthetics or you have these things in your home that you need assistance for, and that's what goes towards the aid and attendance. So it's not as simple as just like having TBI and stuff like that. You have to have one issue that is at 100. If you're trying to increase that, you have to fall under the criteria to, you have to, basically when it comes to any criteria for an increase, you have to make sure that you have a diagnosis in place. You have to make sure you have the documentation in place. So the documentation showing that you have worsened. So your thought process, your mental thing, you can have a buddy statement or a lay statement or witness statement from a spouse, girlfriend, neighbor, roommate, whatever the case may be, saying that, hey, this has gotten worse. He's doing this more, or he's done that more, stuff like that. You have to show basically what the CFR shows of 100% total occupational and social impairment. If you cannot show total occupational and social impairment, you're not going to be able to get that increase. You need to be able to show that you are at an 100% level from the 70% level that they gave you. Because basically they said that you fall under this criteria. In order for you to get an increase through mental health, you would have to show that you fall under this criteria. You would have to show that you fall under 100% total occupational and social impairment. And that would mean you are still going to a therapist, a counselor, a psychiatrist, whatever the case, and they, off of your information and your documentation, have shown that you have worsened and your symptoms have gotten worse over time. That's how you do an increase. You have to have the documentation to show that. What's up, Gabriel? He said YouTube works. Yes, it does. YouTube does work. YouTube works better than TikTok at times when it comes to streaming. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's one instance of me saying that that's how you could go about it. The second instance would and can be to see what these mental health rating changes may be. Depending on how bad it is. And that is true what Annette says, you get put under fiduciary in those cases because of the fact that it's just like, hey, you're that bad and you have to be taken care of, that you need somebody to maintain yourself. So keep that in mind. Annette is completely correct in that. That is something that does happen if you are not mentally fit to take care of yourself. Oh, see, so Gabriel has an instance with that. So those instances like that, yes. I was just like, but for an increase, you have to have the documentation. You have to have the thing. The second option I was going to give you is if you can hold off. I'm not saying that this is the best suggestion, but if you can hold off on filing it to see if they actually do make these changes on the mental health ratings. Because what a lot of people are saying is if they do go ahead and change the mental health rating structure of how you get rated. So this whole 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, 100 thing is there. I went over a video. It's one of the past couple of weeks and stuff. And it goes through that process of explaining that. That's my point, McNasty. Once those laws are in, basically make sure, look, these are two things. Because you got to remember, if the changes are going to be implemented, you might want to do an intent to file to keep it for the past one. Or if you know it's going to be updated, you might want to file a claim after it changes. Because with the new ones, like I said, that's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm not saying it's the best suggestion. I just thought it was like, you know what? This is something that may be able to benefit you to get there. Because you're at 70%, but you're at 100% PNT. That 70% could increase to 100% after these changes. You file the increase or you change for the increase, you file for it, boom. Now you at 100%. You got that 100% disability rating. Now you go ahead and file that SMC. Now you fill all the requirements because you already got your doctor to give you the aid in attendance letter, but now you have the 100% disability rating that you need in order to file for SMCL, and they've shown that it's gotten worse. So that's what I'm saying. Those are two different options. Now, depending on are these changes actually going to happen in August? Whole different thing. Because this shit has been moved and passed down and pushed along for some time. And then with all these changes coming, people getting fired or removed, the changes, contracts, and all that. See, look, and I just have Gina, which Gina works with another a veteran liaison. He's a congressional liaison. And he basically says that the changes will likely not happen till next year. I know that shit isn't going to happen this month. I can assure you that shit isn't going to happen this month. It's going to happen. It's going to like change. But you got to remember, they are saying that the date of August for that regulation change was basically a proposed date to make an action date. That wasn't going to be the effective date. That is going to be the final action date for them to decide in the month of August, for them to decide, yes, these are the changes we are making. No, these are the changes we are not making. That's all August says. When it goes into effect, that will be there, and that will be put into the CFR because the CFR will be updated and it will say effective of this date, and then it'll have that upcoming change because that they will announce. Or it will be under the regulations.gov site where you can find the action of changing the CFR, and it'll tell you final action date or when it's going to change or whatever the case may be. That's the thing, McNasty. You can't go off of that because the thing is this is what I told veterans. Do not go off of you cannot go off of the changes that are going to happen with the CFR. Because some changes have been in the works and some have been time period. Like I said, we don't get the notification and the wording to know when all these changes happen, but it just said August. It's August 3rd. So maybe tomorrow they come out with something saying, hey, we'll make these changes. And it could be like, hey, tomorrow we are making this change to the Code of Federal Regulations. Now, Chapter 38, Title 38, Chapter 1, Part 4, Schedule of Ratings. We made this changing to mental health and to tinnitus and sleep apnea. And we've made these changes. These changes will go into effect January 2020. I don't know. That's the thing. They will give a date. So that's why I said when it came to this, the best thing you can do is keep on getting your documentation. Keep on getting those records. Keep on getting that supporting information to help you so that when that shit does change, boom, intent to file, you got all your shit. You submit all that shit quick, get yourself to 100%. Oh, Annette, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Can I highlight this? I'm trying to see. I haven't been able to highlight the. I used to be able to do that. I don't know why I can't do it no more. Where are my quick actions? Hmm. Nope, that didn't work right. I have to work on that. Because it's supposed to be able to show the so I can see it. But that's the thing. The statement made in the question from Annette was, can you imagine how many people are going to file for that 100% increase for PTSD? I think there will be a catch. And you know what the catch will be, Annette? The catch will be all those fucking veterans getting their fucking shit evaluated. That's the catch. You are going to see a shitload of reevaluations. And what's going to end up happening is that you're going to have those veterans that got ahead of the game and made sure to get their shit straight, get their documentation, paperwork, and all that stuff, waiting for that to change. And then there's going to be ones that just think that just because they go to the VA and file the claim, they're automatically going to get an increase. And then the bigger issue is going to be, and this is part of the catch. This is where it's going to like snowball even more. Everybody that has a mental health rating that has a secondary to something else. Because if you have a mental health rating that's connected to something else, you're going to be evaluated for the mental health. But remember, you made that secondary, whatever the secondary is. If you don't mention that secondary hasn't gotten worse. That secondary, you don't got medication, you don't got no therapy, you ain't got nothing. Don't be surprised if they try to decrease it because it shows it's like, hey, you don't need this. That's the thing for back, McNasty, it depends on what you have on your back. Back issues, it depends. You can get certain increases, but it's not. That's where you have to go. That's definitely where you have to go into into here. Find spine. Where's it at? Oh, this ain't it. You find the spine, and then from there you go from there. And you find what you have. Because the thing is not everything is going to get you an increase. And that's where you have to, that's why I say you have to make sure you're looking. Yeah, and that's the thing. It depends on what you're going for. Because that might be the highest you can get. Because for certain back issues, 20 is the highest. 30 may be the highest. But it has to depend on what is it that you have it. Do you feel that way even with static conditions? No, with static conditions, those are the ones where they won't evaluate you again. You don't need to because they already know that shit is done off. If they labeled it as static condition, they already know there's no way this is getting better. But secondary conditions are not static, at least not all of them. That's where I see there's going to be a lot of changes. Yeah, and that's why I say back issues, it goes off of what you have, depending on your rating and depending on your movement. Because like I said, the VA doesn't really care for pain. They know you in pain, but your pain isn't the same as my pain. They're going off of your movement. So if you have back issues and you can't move your back, all right, then we can look at that. But if you got back issues, if you don't have back issues and you moving fine or whatever the case, you could do all this. You could do these rotations, these laterals, these rotations, all that. That's how you get those. That's how you get that information. That's how you get that percentage. Yes, each disability, but the thing is each disability cannot get to 50%. That's the part you need to understand. Because look at this. Look at just for the knee or other impairment. Highest you can get is 30. For certain back, the highest you can get is 30. No matter how bad your back is, the highest you can get is 30. Look, unless you have unfavorable ankylosis of the entire spine, 100. And that's just for the spine. And this falls under all this. Vertebrae fracture. Shit, even degenerative disc disease falls under the same thing. Unless it is on your whole back, this is where you're going to fall under, depending on the flexion and depending on your movement. So that's why I say it doesn't, like, you have to go off of the CFR to know what you want. If you want to increase, same thing you got to do, McNasty, is just basically sit down, write down a list of every single one of the disabilities you already claimed, go back into the CFR and see if you fit the classification for an increase. See, that's the thing. If you had a torn rotator cuff and neck and that wasn't caused by the military, whole different thing. Because they're not going to try, they don't want to compensate you for something that the military didn't do. If you did that outside of the military, that's for you to deal with. They might help a bit, but they're not going to try to cover that. Unless that was part of something that happened like in a military training exercise or something like that. They took away 10% from my shins and told me I can't fall again. They made it. Yeah, you'll deal. That's the thing. You have people that don't know what they're doing, and you have people that have no idea what right looks like. And some of those people are working at the VA, unfortunately. But that's why you have to know what it is, and you understanding that and knowing the stuff and knowing the percentages, knowing the information, knowing what the CMP examiner is supposed to test you for or supposed to check, that allows you to be better prepared when it comes to that CMP exam or when it comes to when you get your rating decisions letter. Because if you get that rating decisions letter and it says you got 0% off of something that you knew they were supposed to measure your rotation or flexion or whatever the case may be, and this dude didn't bring out the gynometer to like see the thing, that's already a fucked up thing. Caused by knee giving out, which is service connected. Yeah, McNasty, in cases like that, you have to take every single thing that you have a percentage for, and you have to go into the CFR and you have to look what it is. So everything, when you get that ratings letter to tell you what it is that you're claiming for, you go into the CFR, you find it, and see what percentages you can get. Because for certain things, you may be able to get an increase. For certain things, you won't. So that way you understand and you know, it's like, you know what? I can file for elbow ankylosis because I have an elbow issue. But my elbow issue was only at 10%. Major and minor, that's dominant hand, non-dominant hand. Major, dominant, minor, non-dominant. And here it goes. Look at the flexion. Depending if your flexion has lessened within these percentages, from 110%, basically you being able to move fully, to 45%, these are the differences in ratings. So basically, if your knee is messed up, your limitation of flexion, you go to the knee, find what the limitation and flexion is of your knee. If it's bigger or smaller, that's how you know what you can file for, if you can file for an increase. If you don't have anything showing that you've gotten worse or it's worsened, you don't want to file for an increase because you ain't going to get it if you know you can't provide any information for it. But if you can provide that information showing what the injury was, why it was caused, how it happened, why it's worse, then you file for an increase. Filing for an increase means the same legwork you did to get that initial rating, you have to do, I wouldn't say the same legwork, but you got to do that same legwork to get that information there and be positive on the positive side to know what you got. Otherwise, McNasty, you're going to have a hard problem with an increase. So you can get an increase, but at the same time, if you get an increases in all these other things, that still isn't giving you that 100% rating at that one issue. So that's like you can increase everything else. Just because you increase everything else does not mean that it's going to make it better for the SMC. Because you still need that one disability that it's at 100% to get that L. That's as long as it's notated, McNasty, if you are going to the VA weekly, you are getting all that noted in your file. And then you go into the CFR and you see what has gotten worse, then file for an increase. Because you already have the documentation because you've been getting seen for it. But if you aren't going through the CFR and clarifying, okay, I got this, I got that, you're not going to help yourself. You're not going to help with an increase if you don't know what's wrong or you don't know what's worsened. You have to make sure if everything's gotten worse, get the documentation for everything that's gotten worse. Go through the health eVet link, which is through the VA. One second. VA.gov. Shit, I just lost my train of thought. What was it going to show you? Damn. I totally just forgot what the fuck I was going to do. Health eVet. That's what I was going to do. So I was just like, I'm supposed to be doing something. And you can log in through there, and through there you can request your medical evaluations and all the stuff you're doing. So you can have those medical records on there. So literally the medical records of you going to the VA eVet. Hold on. You have to go to va.gov. So you have to go to va.gov. So why does it keep doing that? So you go to va.gov and it has this here, my health eVet. And for my health eVet, you would just have to log in. Once you log in, you'll go through there and then it'll take you to like your medical thing. And then from there, you can like send messages to your provider and stuff like that. Yeah, if you have that, the thing is McNasty, if you got 70% TBI and 70% PTSD, it's the same thing. That is the same rating. Because most of the time, if it was one or the, unless it's two separate, but most of the time that is going to be the same thing. Because if you got the TBI with the PTSD, they're just joining that out. If anything, I would say try to go for SMC. What is the other one? SMC. What the fuck is it? Because I would say you could go for SMCR also. But then that's why with R, you need a minimal combination of entitlement to both O and L. So that's where it kind of gets difficult. And yes, get your C file, get all that stuff. If you have all the documentation to get there and to do all this stuff and to provide that information showing that you are worse, that's what you need, McNasty, because that's what you're going to need to provide an increase. But for mental health, you have to show that you are total and social, like, yeah, your C file is going to take a while. But you can also just download the information from the Health eVet. Also, if you go through the C file, that shit is going to give you all your shit. If you go through the Health eVet, you can just go through your records of what has happened recently and stuff like that. And you can do it that way. But getting your information, putting it together, making sure that you verify with the CFR to be and understand the instance of, do I file for an increase because I have the requirements to meet the next level or increase? Because also remember that you can look at your ratings letter and it'll tell you It'll tell you you were giving this rating because you did not meet the requirement for this next level of higher thing. And it'll tell you what it is. We found evidence, but it wasn't high enough, or your thing wasn't high enough to get you to that next level. So those are the things. But get your documentation, get to the CFR. I'll put the link to the CFR again. Yes, Annette, the CMP exams are in your C file, but he says he's going regularly, weekly, so he should have all that stuff in there. No, whoever has your DBQ, a DBQ is a DBQ. As long as it is by a medical professional, they provide the information and all that stuff there. A CPAP guide anywhere? In what regards, Gabriel? To a CPAP guide. I'm not entirely sure I know what you mean. If you have whoever your provider is, even if it's virtual or not, it does not matter. As long as they're a medical professional and they have their medical credentials, they have their medical information, and they put that all in there, good. Is there a CPAP guide anywhere to file? No, there's no CPAP. So what you would have to file for, Gabriel, that would have to be sleep apnea. For CPAP, it would be sleep apnea that you would file a claim for. So you'd be filing a claim for sleep apnea, which is the reason why you would be given a CPAP. Heard about the 100 miles thing, about it triggers fraud and a CMP? No, I have not heard about that. Well, that's the thing, McNasty, you're going to get a CMP regardless. So, Gabriel, if you have a CPAP machine, that means you have sleep apnea. So what that would mean is you already got the machine. So it shows that you need the machine because you've been diagnosed and given the machine. Now, the thing is you tying it to your time of service, which you could get sleep apnea from toxic fumes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But that's the way you got to do it. You have to file for sleep apnea. You already got the machine, so you got sleep apnea. It's just you have to prove that it was because of the military that you needed to get the sleep apnea machine because you had sleep apnea and you had whatever the case may be, and that's what happened. Why can't this shit fucking stay? What the fuck? There you go. Yeah. If you are, do I suggest attempting an increase for mental health? For mental health, I suggest you going for an increase if you can provide the information to show that you need an increase. That's what I will say there. You need to file. You have fat sinuses? You need to get a better diagnosis than Gabriel. What the fuck? I don't think that's a claim. I don't think that's a claim. If you are, like I said, the same thing like I was telling Nancy, if you are, I don't care what percentage you are, whether it's mental health, your knee, any claim that you are going to try to get an increase, check with the CFR. See if that ailment that you have can be increased, first off. See if it can be increased. Because if you already got the highest thing, can't get an increase to it. Secondaries. If it's a secondary, claim it, put it in there, show that it's a secondary, and show us how it's connected. Because remember, you're not showing that it was military-wise. You're showing that it was caused because of the shit you had because of the military. And yes, there you go. Medical journals, all that stuff, that's also stuff that can be Hey, man, if you can get that 70 to 100 mental health increase, man, I'm rooting for you. But I will say that I know with these changes to this, to the changes, that might take some time, and that's when that'll happen because it's not going to come into effect, I believe, this year. No matter what happens, no matter if they actually institute it, I doubt it happens at this year. Or yeah, because it always takes a couple of months or something like that. Yes. And that's why I said in that, like your claim letter will say that. Your claim letter will say you got this percentage and you didn't get the next level because of whatever reason. So that's why I say it's always good to look at it because it'll tell you. It'll tell you, well, you got this or you got a 10% instead of a 20 because you moved this much or whatever the case may be. And that's something keep in mind, gotta look at, gotta pay attention. Don't know, McNasty. I can't give you a solid date for that. Nobody can give you a solid date because I don't even think the VA itself knows when the hell they're going to actually institute these things. So that's why that too. They trying to save money. They ain't trying to give out more money. So that's why I say there probably will be a catch with everybody trying to apply for a higher mental health rating. Because with how the domains look and the different domains and you filling in, you getting to 100% is going to look, I'm not going to say it's going to be easier because you still have to have the documentation to prove it, but it's going to be there. So your best bet now is either you ride this out and just build up and work on getting more stuff to validate your increase and doing it that way. Because if you already have it, file for the increase if you can show it. If not, you can wait. But like I said, there's no timetable set. Announcement is August. It's August 3rd. So they ain't even do it on the 1st. They could have done this shit on Friday. Could have said something on Friday. They didn't. So maybe they say something tomorrow but remember that regulation, when they said they were going to announce it, it didn't have a specific date. It just said August of 2025. August 2025. That is the where's the fucking percent? Is it? Here we go. Copy. Take this back. And this is the appeals court. That is the U.S. Courts VA appeals. So you can check it through there basically. So you can go there and it shows you hold on 1 second. United States Court of Appeals for Veteran Claims, court rules and procedures, informations, orders and opinions, active panel cases, stayed cases, class action cases, all that stuff. And you can have that and you can see what people have used and shit. For some of these, if you have information that can actually benefit you, you could throw that shit in there too. If somebody comes up with something in their court case that basically helps your thing, you can use that as part of it because it's like, hey, look, it's in this court case. You can use that as documentation to justify your thing. So always keep that in mind. There's different things you can do. It's not always a one-way street with these things, but you got to keep in mind that it's not as easy as it seems. But every veteran should be the same way we don't keep our medical fucking records. From here on out, every veteran should make sure that everything they are doing is notated. No matter what it is, no matter where it is, get it notated. Because with all these changes and stuff like that, they not gonna fucking stop. The changes are going to keep on going. If these people are talking about we're going to save money, best believe that means veterans not getting paid. And it's not we're going to say, I'm going to take your shit. Like, oh, we're taking veterans' money. No, we're going to wait for you to file again. Because we know you want that 100%. But when you file that for that 100% or for that increase, and you got secondaries, we're going to check them. You going to file for any increase? We're going to check them. If you one of those that wants to do secondary to secondary to secondary, we're going to check those too. So just keep all that shit in mind when it comes to it. You need to make sure you understand that. Make sure you're visualizing that. Make sure you're writing that. Make sure, hey, you go to the doctor. Hey, can you make me a copy of those records? They're gonna look a bit like, why? Because my fucking records. You don't need to know that. I want my records. Just get a copy. You go to a doctor. Can I get a copy? Or shit, get a copy of you actually going to the doctor. I did that. Look, I put it like this. This is what I just did. This is what I am doing. The VA just recently sent me a letter saying that they would no longer provide me with chiropractic care. So they weren't going to pay for it because they saw that it wasn't fixing, I guess, enough, even though I have degenerative disc disease, which you can't fix. Neither here nor there, right? So what I did was, it was like, okay, so the VA is stating that it's not fixing it, so they're not going to pay for it. I'm still going to the chiropractor because it actually does help me. It helps my back. It helps readjusting my back when my back is fucking unadjusted. So now I went to my chiropractor and I told her, I was just like, look, the VA isn't going to be covering going forward. Or at least they said you can wait 6 months and then ask for it again, which is fucking stupid. But in that case, what I said was the VA stopping it for the next 6 months or whatever the case may be. I'm paying out of pocket to continue to see you. But I want you to put that paperwork and that documentation separate. She's like, why? Why? Because I want to show the VA when I go back that I have been going to be seen for my back continuously, even after them not covering it. So that way they don't try to hit me with no bullshit. It was just like, oh, well, you haven't been seen in so long and you had back issues. You must be better. Nah, fuck that. Here's all the documentation showing that I've still been seen and y'all just didn't want to take care of it. That way, when I go back to file again, hey, here's another 6 months of fucking paperwork that y'all didn't want to accept that I'm putting as part of an increase. And you do it that way. Hold on, take it off on taxes. What you mean, Annette? What you mean I could take it off on taxes? I need to know more about that. It was gonna take it off on taxes. What? Less taxes? But yeah, that's the thing. You know what's funny about the acupuncture shit? I was gonna get acupuncture. Mind you, my chiropractor does acupuncture. And the VA said the closest person we have is 2 hours from you. And I was just like, but my chiropractor does it. Oh, medical expenses. Thank you, Annette. I just got, man, Texas going down. No, let me stop. But yeah, keep your shit. Keep your paperwork. Keep all that stuff. Keep it. Every couple of months, just download the fucking file. Just download the file. I was going weekly too. And they said it wasn't fixing it because I'm still in pain and she's still fucking readjusting me weekly. But that's neither here or there. But like I said, I have the documentation now to cover myself in case of anything. Because you're not going to tell me my back has gotten better. I was like, oh, you don't have no care. So you're back. No, here's the care I've been taking that y'all didn't want to provide. Even though y'all caused this. You have to do it. It's just that it sucks when you have to do it out of pocket because the VA is trying to play this bullshit game from you. Mileage to and from medical appointments, take it off on tax. Oh. Yes. That I think is the biggest thing. Looking at your notes. Make sure in your notes, whatever's in your notes is correct. Whatever you spoke about is correct. If you spoke about your bad knee and this spoken about or this, and it was like, make sure you put that in there. Make sure that was in there. Make sure that was noted in there. Make sure that you got diagnosed by something that was put in there. So that way when you go back, it was like, well, my provider diagnosed me with this. Here's the record. Paperwork, man. Paperwork has to be done. You have to show the paperwork. It's like, look, Y'all remember when y'all was trying to go on leave? Y'all had to print out your fucking birth certificate, your fucking passport, your fucking LES, a fucking trip outlay to the fucking thing, an itinerary, and then fucking give a blood sample just to get your fucking leave approved. It's the same fucking shit today. So it was just like the craziest thing for veterans is like, yo, we've been training y'all for this shit. And y'all just lose all y'all training once y'all become a veteran. We've been training you. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. And then once you get out the military, it's fuck detail. So I can understand why that happens. But attention to detail is the most important thing. Pay attention to those small details. Pay attention to that one time you went to the doctor, but you don't know why you went. Just look it up. See why it was you went. Oh, shit, you went for this reason. You know what? That has been hurting. Claim. It's in my record. Claim. That's it, man. But yeah, that's the simplest way of doing it. McNasty, out-of-town DBQ is okay. Don't worry about where it's from. As long as it's legit, as long as they have their certifications, their doctor, all that stuff, and they are legit doctors, you're good. Because trust me, this is my YouTube channel, but I can assure you all these other bigger channels that provide you a nexus letter or all this stuff, them doctors ain't going to those people's houses. Those people are getting DBQs and nexus letters from somebody probably halfway across the country. So if you're getting a DBQ and it is working, it is correct, you have your documentation and stuff like that, it don't fucking matter where it comes from. As long as you can provide and have the documentation to back it. Because if the DBQ is from fucking Germany, he has his credentials and all that stuff, but your documentation goes hand in hand with what he's putting in that letter, it don't matter. As long as the DBQ is filled out properly, filled out correctly. Also, the change just came because it was one of these other channels, because they're lawyers, they were going against the VA, and you no longer can get a denial or a kickback on a VA claim if it is because it is on an outdated form. So what they were doing before was they were going through the whole like 3-4 month process and then telling people, oh, you got the wrong form. So basically that litigation went through, and basically what it says now is that even if your form is out of date, like let's say the DBQ was just posted, it gets posted tomorrow, but you filed your shit on Friday with the old version, they would wait the whole process and then kick it back. With that new upholding of the law now and the change, no matter where it's from, as long as it's the form filled out correctly, signed out properly, it has to be used. That's the thing, McNasty. There's no, trust me, I don't think there's an 100 miles fraud thing, CMP thing. Because the thing is the way you got to look at it is like this. The VA itself sometimes can't even find somebody 100 miles close to you to try to send you. That's in contract. Or as a specialist or stuff like that. So that 100-mile shit is nonsense. Because shit, if you got to go to an appointment, that shit is 3 hours away. What they're going to say? It's fraud because you went to an appointment? No. So basically, no matter where it's from, just make sure your shit is legit. If you have all the documentation and shit, what they're going to say? You lied? No. Look at all my documentation, all my diagrams, all my depictions, all my fucking evidence. It don't matter. The 100 miles fraud thing, CMP, is bad when you have those people that don't have that documentation, don't have that solid claim, and then they got their nexus letter from fucking Florida and they live in fucking Oregon. But they don't have everything. So they just, it's like the reason they see fraud and they think of fraud when it comes like that is because it's always people that are reaching to try to get a higher claim that they go to some other entity that everybody else uses. That's where the fraud probably gets looked at. The fraud probably gets looked at like, damn, everybody's going to fucking cruise for a DBQ. Who the fuck is this cruise? Why is somebody from here going to cruise? Then that's when it starts getting questionable because everybody just going to cruise. Cruise must be the best fucking doctor that we never fucking heard of. They want to say it's a net. What form? 1130 something. I can't fucking remember. I know Annette gave it to me. Annette, can you remember what that form was that it is like that they have to tell you? Maybe I haven't followed Annette, man. Annette got a whole wealth of knowledge too. I gotta see where I put that shit. Is it this? No. Nope, not that one. I can't find it. Here it goes. VH. Boy, Adobe, you better stop this shit. What the fuck is it at? Can I get to the fucking Adobe? Directive VHA Directive 1134. Yes. Trying to see if I can. Give me a sec. So I can show it. There you go. This has been in action since 2016. Let me. So if you look up VHA. Yeah. So VA form, VHA Directive 1134. Reasons for issue. This Veterans Health Administration Directive establishes policy requiring VHA health care providers, when requested and consistent with other VH policies, to assist patients in completing Department of Veteran Affairs VA and non-VA medical forms, and to provide patients with medical statements with respect to their medical conditions and functionality. So McNasty, hit him with this shit. Just look it up, Google it. You can look it up, Google it, and it will populate. And it's the same thing. And the last amendment was of May 11th, 2020. So the version I have is a bit older, but the latest is 2020. So there you have it. And we will end we'll end it on that. But yes, VHA directive, that is what you would be using. That is what you will use. So if they say we're not gonna write the letter, hit them with it. just hit them with this and be like, here it goes. This is a directive saying that you have to write it for me. Most of the time they don't, but that's the thing. Most veterans don't know about this little clause. It's there. They haven't changed it. It's okay, Annette. I appreciate it. I remembered that you had given it to me. So I was just like, that's why I was looking for it. I was just like, I have it in a folder. And that's why I was just like, what the fuck is this folder? It's like, I know I have this. So I was like, what the hell is it? And I was like, okay, I got it. But yeah. All right. So, man, this DBQ letter cost me $550. That's why I don't pay for shit, man. That's why I was like, you can have them filled out. That paid you $550. That shit better get you fucking something. That's why I don't believe in paying for any of this shit. You can do it yourself. It's just knowing that stuff. Now, you got that DBQ letter, right? Now, use this and get it from the provider. You already paid it. You already paid the money for that evaluation and the DBQ. Okay, now get your VA provider to do the same thing. And now you got two fucking letters of evidence. You got a DBQ letter from this person that you paid for, and now you get a DBQ from that person. or even a statement. You can even write this shit for him. Be like, look, I have this statement. I think I want you to overlook it and maybe tweak it. And you can sign it basically. And this is why I did this, because I have this VHA directive, which is basically for forms and completions of VA forms. Big nasty, but you didn't hit him with the VHA directive 1134 for 2 years. There's an update of 22. Oh, how come it didn't show up? It didn't show up on the... For some reason, for me, the one when I looked it up on... Is it part 2? Do I have to put the... Oh, I didn't put the parentheses 2. I'm looking because it shows up on va.gov, but it just shows the 2016 version. So I have to find... You can go to VHA publications. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You can write it and then just have him sign it. 1134. You gotta love when this shit isn't in fucking numerical order. Who made this? Looking. This is the only one I can find for some reason, and that's off the VHA site. The Veterans Health Administration, that's the website they have. And it says last updated July 24th, 2025, which means, you know, they're not going to update it if they don't need to. But. Okay. Yeah. So that's where we're at with that. McNasty, just give them that directive. You have to show them that information and that paperwork so that they can see that they have to write it. It's always a conflict of interest, and that's the easiest way for them to say, because basically they probably have the directive that you shouldn't be writing anything for these people to get more benefits. But if you have that directive that says, hey, you are mandated to help me fill this out or to fill this out for me, they can't say no. So, because conflict of interest is one of the things that they always mention to people. But at the same time, after I found that directive from Annette telling me, that's what I tell people. If they tell you they don't want to write the letter, show them that information, bring them that information, and be like, here, look, this is what I have. This is what it is. This is stating that you have to write this for me. Yeah, the wording hasn't changed. It's still the same thing. So it's not like it's out. It's just that most doctors don't know about it. And most veterans don't know about it because ain't nobody looking at the Veteran Health Association, the Veteran Health Administration publications. I can assure you they're not reading them. So that's why it's like on you. If you pay attention to it, hey, you got this. You need to fill it out. Here, fill this out. And here's the directive that says you have to help me fill it out. Shit, because then if that's the case, you can just get them in trouble. But I don't think you want to fuck around and get your provider messed up or pissed off. Neither here or there. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'd have to go to the patient advocate to like make a complaint like, yo, this dude is not doing what he said. I presented them this. They didn't give me that information. So my first thing is you take that directive to the VA and show the VA doctor like, hey, look, I found this and it says you have to help me do this. And if they still say no, then go to the patient advocate. And that's it. It was just like you part of the problem. Because if a veteran is coming to you with something showing you that this is what you got to do, and you're saying you don't want to do it, you're part of the problem. No, you can always file for your shit again, even if they made a mistake. Now, did you get the 10%? Because if you got the 10%, you're good. But there's no such thing as you can't file for something again, because the thing is the shit could get worse. So there's no such thing as you can't file for again. They made a mistake. Cool. I was like, they might have removed it, but you can file for shin splints if you have shin splints, and you go and file for it again and be like, hey, that's my 10%. But that's it's how you file. You can't, they can't tell you can't file for something again because they made a mistake. Like, no, you made a mistake, but now I still have this. Annette, that one ain't gonna go nowhere. not gonna show you that shit is not gonna go anywhere. Maybe if you're talking to your representative, maybe your representative may make some moves. But if you're gonna send a complaint to the White House, they ain't reading that shit. Is that something you can look for? For what exactly? Because the thing is shin splints. I don't. Because they functions. Somewhere in here, I don't know where. It's there. Nah, because if you have that from X-rays from airborne that you have it, file for it again because you already have the documentation showing it. I was like, they might have made a mistake. I don't know what the mistake was, but that if you have X-rays from airborne training where you show you had that, that's documentation showing within that you have it. That you're showing that you have it, so you can file for it again because it's in your medical records. Now, what the issue was where they fucked up on it, that I don't know. But definitely, if it's in your records, you can file for it, and they can't just take it away. Is that was that? Yes, they have and that's the same thing with the healthy vet. If you message your provider from there, they'll give you they'll answer within 72 hours. So you could do that too, McNasty. You can send them a message with that directive, VHA directive 1134 parentheses 2, and you just submit that to them. And the thing was just like, hey, look, I got this, and I was just trying to make sure I can get this letter written. I found this directive stating that you have to help assist with writing it. Don't be an asshole about it either, but do it in a polite way and just like, hey, look, I found this directive. Somebody told me about this, and it said that you were supposed to help me with this, that it wouldn't be a conflict of interest because you're helping me. Nice, easy. Yeah, that's what it is, y'all. It's just get your stuff together, file for it, take your time. Like, it is a time-consuming process, but it's a rewarding process, and it is rewarding because you get compensation, but also you get taken care of. You get to go get, unless it's the fucking VA and they say it's not working or helping you and they want to stop it, different issue. But you can at least get seen for it. If it's something that requires medication, your medication is free. So go get seen, go get help, go talk to somebody, go see somebody. Just go get seen and get help. Use the benefits that we earned. And don't think you didn't earn it. You earned it with every single fucking day that you served in the military. You earned everything after that. Because you sure as fuck wasn't getting paid correctly. Okay. I kind of thought it was because I saw the picture. And I was like, this picture's the same, but the name isn't. Oh, no, you changed the picture too. But yeah. That's what it is. Get your shit together, put your shit together, and file. When you file correctly. File with all the documentation. File with all the buddy statements. File with all the directives you can use. Any study you find, a study that you found that proves this or that, just add that shit anyway. Just anything that solidifies your capabilities and your ability to better your, basically better your disability rating and your claim. That's what you got to do. I was just like, we went over the top 3 diagnostic codes. We went over the top 3 that basically were claimed: tinnitus, limitation of flexion in the knee, and the sciatic nerve paralysis. We went over a bunch of questions. We went over a bunch of things, but it's always taking care of yourself, keeping up to date, and maintaining a visual accountability of these possible changes. Whether it's going through the CFR or going through regulations.gov or going through va.gov or watching the VA news or paying attention to it, keep up to date because these next couple of years, there are going to be massive changes that are going to change the whole entity of the VA these next couple of years with the changes to hirings, firings, contracts here, no contracts there, changes to the CFR, new evaluation processes. All that shit is going to change, and all it is going to make it either difficult or easier for some veterans. Now, I can't tell you which one of those is going to lead to, but the more prepared you are, the more you're going to lean towards the easier side. So I'll leave you guys with that. I hope this was helpful to y'all. I hope y'all get this. Like I said, always make sure to pass along the information, pass it along, let people know we do these workshops on Sunday. We do them every Sunday, 12 noon, no matter football, rain, sleet. We almost didn't do it today because power went out in the neighborhood for some reason. But every Sunday, we'll keep doing these. That's without fail every Sunday. If there's nothing there and I'm not on, check the community post. The community post on YouTube. I don't really post on the other platforms yet because I'm still trying to incorporate it because I don't want to do shit every single platform. One. Like, you see what I'm saying? But for that, take care of yourselves. As always, be good to one another. Take care of one another. Look out for one another. Love one another. And stay marvelous while doing it, y'all. I'm Just Cruz. This has been our Sunday Veteran Workshop for the Veteran Awareness Project. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully it was insightful. If you have any questions or anything pops up after the fact, after I signed off, make sure to leave comments on the video. And if not, just even leave a little comment on the video just so I can get more exposure and get more awareness. So leave likes, leave comments, just even if it's a smiley face or a thank you, I'd appreciate it to help push the analytics. Airborne, appreciate you tuning in. As always, is checking in. Hope that CMP date goes well. Remember, check the CFR and check that you fall under the right criteria. As always, thank you all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you from Thailand, all the way from Thailand. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all week. I will see y'all either next Sunday or I will see you on a Just Cruise, just basically bullshit and talking politics. Y'all take care. Y'all be good. I'll see y'all next Sunday. Cruise